Hello, and welcome to the next part of the laboratory software um, evaluations or checks, or however in the world you want to describe this nifty little topic that I'm doing here. You know who I am. I'm Laz, and today we're going to be checking out the software that came with the Soil Mechanics Handbook. Um, I only want to talk about this just a little bit before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this video. And so, and I probably talked about it a little bit before in some of my other videos. It's hard to tell because I'm always all over the place. What else, which is new, right? So the Soil Mechanics Handbook has been something that's been published over the years and whatnot. I believe it's been the same engineer that's been um, that makes any kind of additional changes in the publication. But really, that handbook is to help those get a better understanding about soil mechanics in itself. So, at least at the time, with at least for the copied edition book that I have, it came with software, and the software came onto a floppy disk, as well as helpful Excel spreadsheets, that you could utilize on your day-to-day use. I do want to kind of say that the software itself, because I did kind of try it out a little bit, so I could figure out what the contents of this topic video was going to be. Otherwise, the last video would have been it, and I would be doing something else. I want to say this is more like training software more than anything. I wouldn't doubt you could do software verification on it and use it as a reporting means, but I guess that's kind of up to the person to do. Granted, I want to say for the software that came with the volume edition of the book that I have, I believe it's somewhere between the mid to late 90s. I think it might have been 1998 was the copyright for this, but that this guy publishes something every single year and goes with the changing times. I assume. I never personally had to use this book because of my laboratory training and understanding. This is really for anything. At least the book and the contents of the book itself really teaches you soil mechanics in general from the different testing methods that is performed for that we're going to cover with the software. Some of the stuff that we covered in Geosystems before has the same thing. It's covering soil mechanics is what it all is at the end of the day. So for this, we're going to install the software. I'm going to show you. I don't want to call it the trials and tribulations of installing said software because this came out on a floppy disk, like I said, around the late 90s. So, the internet was still very young and dormant. You couldn't, not everything had a product key, not everything had online registration. Some things had phone call or, a phone number where you can make a call to activate the product. And at least for this doesn't seem to be the case. Now, I'm not too sure, to be honest, if the contents of the disc or the book itself, with it being sold, if you could buy this in bookstores. I feel like you could buy them in bookstores, but the software itself, when I played around with it many, many months ago when I was determining if I could use any of this, it's name specific. So I'm almost wondering if you could only order this book online through them, and then with the software that came with it was registered to you, which made sense because, for the registration process, you have to put in a specific name for it, at least for what I have. So, I mean, the name that I'm going to be using, I don't know if this is the previous owner that got this because I didn't originally buy this. This was just handed down from technician to technician, and then it finally came into my possession. And it's like I said, I thought this would be fitting for at least a topic that I'm covering, as well as give you a better understanding, because Geosystems has a lot of different packages and components that you can add to the main program itself, but I don't really have that for what was given out. And anything that I do use currently is under licensing terms for the company that I work for, and I can't necessarily share that. I would have to buy my own license and whatnot, and I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of money for licensed software that I already have available at work, and that's where I'm going to need it, is really at work. So enough of me talking. Let's really get down to this and whatnot. So let's log in to our instance here. Oop. And let's wait for everything to load. Let's see, no, I always forget that. Okay, so I should already have the virtual floppy disk already in. Perfect. Okay, so before we really go through the setup process, we got to check out some of these configuration files, because I can't remember. It might be the user ID one that's going to give us the information that we need in order to install this software properly. So I'm just going to kind of check out the folders and stuff, but I think everything's just compressed. We might have to go to here if we have to. We got a help file that tells us what this is and whatnot, the operation of it, how to start it, how to execute it, what it can do, what it can't do. Thanks, AVG, you're great. File saving and whatnot, which I'm pretty sure this is going to be the same thing within the help file of the software itself. Even if we check out the README and whatnot, we can see here the Soil Mechanics Laboratory test software for Windows requires a 08286 or better computer running Windows 3.1 or Windows 95 with at least 1 megabit of free RAM. So this kind of tells you how dated the software is. I can tell you the last copyright was either 95 or 98, I believe, is what it said on the disk itself. I don't currently have the diskette. I brought all that back to work, so I don't have that currently with me. But this just kind of tells you your system requirements and whatnot. I don't know if this can run on a modern machine. I haven't tried. I know I've tried here in our nice little nifty XP learning environment, and obviously it's where I'm doing everything, because how dated the program is. So the Excel spreadsheets that come with it, so once one installs, it'll create those, the program operation on how it works and whatnot. But it's like I said, I feel like this is more like training software, more so than you really wanting to use this as production, as we'll see while we dig deeper into this, going through our series, because I believe there's probably, maybe not counting this one, I believe there's going to be 4 or 5 more test methods that we're going to look at, and then that's probably going to end this whole series right here on this software that we're going to install. Okay, so I'd say, you know what, screw it. We'll go through the setup process anyway, because I think it'll install. I don't think it'll run until the software is registered, actually. Oh, wow. It actually needs... Oh, yeah, never mind, because I'm on a regular user account. I forgot about that part. Because security. Okay, so we're just going to install everything under the default thing, the C Soil Mechanics. I know that makes everybody cringe really hard there because, it should be under program files or something, but, yeah, we do that, and I wonder if it froze or no idea what happened. We're off to a great start, aren't we? All right, let's load our task manager, and that is our software running there. That's that there. But I think everything's probably installed. Woo. Why is my virtual machine struggling? I know we've probably seen that in a video before. Rutrow. Wow, this is struggling. Uh-oh. Did our system freeze? Never really dealt with this problem before. I know we're off to a great start, great demonstration, right? I don't think it has. I hope I don't have to hard boot it, but well, maybe I shouldn't have exit out of that. Ooh, yeah, that's definitely not good. I think the system might have froze, so we might have to reboot this again. I know I definitely don't want to do that, but I don't know if the shutdown signal would work. Let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can properly shut down. We're just gonna give this. Oh, hey, there we go. Yeah, we can end now. All right. So I wonder if there's just something with that, or it just really didn't like me closing the task manager. Yeah, it did go up a minute, so I guess the system is running. I just don't know why this is too much for it to handle. I mean, I know it's a virtual machine, and yeah, I mean, I know if you're on the stream right now, I'm pretty sure you can see all the crap I have open too, which probably isn't helping. But I mean, I got a pretty, sophisticated machine. So it's been another minute and nothing has happened. So I think we're just going to power off the machine. We're just going to force turn it off. So we're going to try to load it in with the floppy disk in here, and hopefully we're not going to have a boot issue. Otherwise, I'm going to have to remove the floppy disk, and then we can try doing this again. So I know we're off to a kind of a not really great start, are we? Since I had to, turn off the computer here. I knew it. I knew it. Okay, I gotta... Let's see here. I gotta remove that. Well, not necessarily remove, but... Oh, wait, well... Ooh. There we go. Alright, I knew there was something in there, because I didn't want to... Oh, whoops. Okay. Okay, now it's probably going to boot, so I guess there's probably something in the floppy drive, because I still have the boot order set up to go from floppy drive to everything, because I'm old school like that. Yep, there we go. See, works. Yeah, so just something on the disk that just doesn't really make it boot, which totally makes sense. Okay, so let's bring back our swirl mechanics. Log in again. Now we're back here again, and I don't think anything has installed. We're going to check that out here. I mean, it made it seem like everything probably installed, but let's just see. I went out if the directory was created and then, nothing's gone. Yeah, directory created. Actually, it might have installed. Actually, yeah, I think everything is installed because I believe this is the software that we're going to use. And then, obviously we can't do nothing here because we have to register it. So this is going to be the fun part that we're going to do here. So I'm not going to lie, I kind of almost gave up on doing this because I'm like, oh wow, you actually got to register it, and it's just a floppy disk, so I don't know how you're going to do that, because I don't think they're going to register the floppy disk, even if there is an 800 number that I could call. So I know around here somewhere, I think we're going to check out the user ID thing first, and we're just going to, oh wait, no, not send to. I don't think it's really, okay, I guess I'll do it this way. Okay, so this is going to be the name that we're going to use for this. Don't know if it's a real name or not. It's like I said, I don't know what the registration process is, but this is how we're going to do this. And then usually you don't have to fill out everything else, so. Oh, good lord, we gotta put an entry in every field. Okay, never mind, we do have to put everything here, so let's do. And I don't know. I don't know if I need a phone number or not. I might need a phone number, so let's do. Don't know if it needs a hyphen or not. Okay, so now select the file, translate the files. So all files are copied. You can now exit. Okay, file exit. So if I'm remembering this correctly, actually now I think it'll do. Okay, yeah, test data in Excel because we didn't have that before. Yeah, so this just translated everything that's so everything can work. So, oh, well, I thought it did. Yeah, nothing there too. It's really weird. So I feel like everything would be done right here, so that's why this is kind of weird that, this would be like this. As you can see, the registration's accepted, so this is just done by somebody's name. Huh. It's weird. So it just says that and that. So, Oh, 0 files were translated. Well, how? Yeah, hey, wait a minute. I wonder if I'm missing anything here, because it looks like everything did install. It's the same README file, I'm sure. Yeah, same thing again, just from the disk, so it's just copied over. Same thing for the soil help. Yeah, that's really, whoops, not my documents. I know, watch as the dragon fumbles around a lot. Yeah, because I think everything did install as it should. It's just, it's really weird that, that that happened. Hmm. I know we're going to go through the same setup thing again, but actually, I don't think it would be that picky. I would assume since we installed it, but you know, I wonder if I should try to run it as an administrator. Just curious here. I don't think that would be the case. I really don't think that would be the case. Whoops. That's not tab. Okay, registration accepted. File, translate files. Oh, hey, look, 37 files were translated. I'm pretty sure when I look back at this, because if I hit the translate files again, oh wait, okay, yeah, actually I think that might have did the trick. Oh, yep, there we go. Okay, so I guess you have to have, oh yeah, there we go, everything just disappeared. Alright, so yeah, you need administrative thing for that. I guess that makes sense. You know. Okay, cool. So yeah, so now we actually have our program itself that we're going to utilize here now since everything's all nice and registered. So, you know, we got our file, we got our load save data, our soil tests and whatnot. So we got determining water content, specific gravity of soil solids, sieve analysis. That should sound familiar. Covered that in geosystems, so I won't be going over this again. Hydrometer analysis, I think I'm going to try to, if it seems like if it's not too difficult or anything. We got liquid limit test, plastic limits test, which that's something we've already covered in geosystems. That was the Atterberg limits test, shrinkage limit test, constant head permeability, I want to plan on covering, and falling head permeability. Then we got more soils tests. Don't know why everything had to be in two different things. I guess so you can use the alt and, you know, alt plus key, and then you got a control plus key. You know, I guess if you want to be awesome like that, don't know why you just couldn't do with that, but you know, not the one that programmed it. So here we got a standard Proctor test, modified Proctor test. I'll be covering one of these because they're both relatively the same. Field unit weight by sand cone. I will not be doing that. Direct shear tests on sand. I don't think I'm going to be doing that one. We kind of already covered the consolidation tests in geosystems, so I'm not planning on covering it here because this I think can only do one load at a time, and as you've seen from the nightmare of everything that I typed, that one can do multiple loads to make your curve, but this is only going to do one load, and then you yourself would have to hand plot this. This is why I feel like this is just good training software, and that's all this really is at the end of the day. So for today's fun-filled lesson and whatnot, which I feel like this video is probably going to be relatively short. Sorry, needed some water there. Today we're going to be determining water content, which is moisture content. So moisture content is exactly what it is. I've kind of already explained this a little bit with the Atterbergs and whatnot. It's getting what is your moisture content of the soil that you are testing. But this is just your plain Jane, you know, only doing a moisture content. You know, there's no attached test to it. Just, you know, somebody brings you a sample of soil and they just say, I want to know what the natural moisture content is of this soil. So you grab a container and then you perform your moisture content. So here, at least for this test section, we got a description of the soil. So for this demonstration here, I got an old report from a proficiency sample I did way back then. This isn't going to be natural moisture contents. This is technically from a Proctor test that I did that I'm going to be demonstrating later down the road when we get to that point. But for a proctor test, you have to have moisture contents. But today we're just going to demonstrate as if this is just natural moisture contents, or even just determining water contents in general. If you want to double check, hey, does this make sense for what my software is doing? Then yeah, I guess you could use this. So, anyways, let's give it a description of soil. So we'll say light brown silty fine sand. For the sample number, we're just going to say, we'll say 1819. Sample numbers are completely arbitrary. Location is just location, places. Tested by me, and let's just put today's date. All right, so. For moisture content here, a can number, which is technically your tare number, it's important to have for whatever, not necessarily what your final report's going to be. You don't necessarily need what was your tare identifier or your can number. Really, what you just need is, hey, what was your moisture content in a form of a percentage. And this is why I feel like this is good training software, more so than really using this to report it. So anyways, let's just put some moisture contents. This one can allow us to go up to 3. I got way more than 3, but that's okay. So let's see, we got Z14, and then is this tab friendly or enter friendly? Ooh. This must be enter friendly. Let's see. It is not. It's nothing friendly. You just gotta click on everything. Okay. Is it arrow friendly? Okay, I guess it's arrow friendly. Alright, I guess I'll use the arrows. Alright, so now we need the mass of our can, which is the tare weight itself. So how much does the tare weigh in the form of grams? Usually moisture contents are done in grams. Gives you a much more accurate number as compared to doing it in pounds or kilograms or anything. But you could do that because the math's going to give you something, but grams gives you something a lot more accurate. So this is why, and technically the spec says to do it in grams anyway. So all these values are in grams technically. So now we need the mass of our can, which is our tare, as well as the wet soil. So that's our 45.9, and then adding our soil. So this is like roughly like 100-ish, a little over 100 grams. At least for when I do proctor tests, I usually do 100 to 120. This is a method A proctor test, so it's fine soils and sands. And those are minimums. You can have more than that if you want. And then we'll do 154.6. And let's just keep going. Here we got 709, 43.7, 156.5, 148.3, and oh wow, it does an average for you. That's kind of cool. I didn't know it could do that. 700, 160.9. Whoops. I'm doing it backwards. So 145 or 45.0, 160.9, and 150.6. So most of the time, at least for most forms that I've ever really seen out there, at least when it comes to the paperwork, usually the way how they have it is they'll usually have what is the mass, the mass of your tare plus wet soil, or mass of can plus wet soil. Then the next one would be your mass of can in dry soil, and then your tare. Because regardless of whatever placement it's at, the math is going to be the same. It's all algebra at the end of the day. So here we are. Here's our mass of moistures. Of course, it's all technically, for what I entered in, it was supposed to be in an ascending order where the moisture is climbing higher anyway. That's kind of funny. It's exactly 7.8%. So literally this average to be 7.8, which is my test 2, my center point out of everything. So, you can just look at the math right here to see how it is. So we have to determine our mass of moisture, which is our which is our W2 minus W3. So for this one, this is 6.30 grams of water itself that was in it, and then the mass of our dry soil, which is technically your W3, so it'd be your massicam with the dry soil minus your can, because that would be your mass of your dry soil. And then obviously here's your math right here, where you get your W2 minus W3, so your wet soil minus your dry soil, which is your your moisture content, divided by your mass of dry soil times 100, and that expresses that into a percentage. And that's moisture content. I guess I only want to cover this a bit more, even though there was a lot of other test methods that I've demonstrated even with Geosystems that did moisture contents right off the bat, but now this gives you the perfect idea of that. And as you can see, look how friendly this is. It gives you all the formulas that you need to know and whatnot, because this is intended to teach you how moisture contents work. And then in the end, you have this software here that you can install, and then, hey, what was the moisture content for this? Because now we're heading into the computer age, so why get a calculator and do all this math when all I got to do is put in, you don't even need you're going to let me delete it? No, it's just there forever. Wow. Okay, I guess it'll just, but as you can see, the can number is just something there so you can identify which each point is, but technically that has nothing to do with the math whatsoever. So I don't know if print tests will actually print it or no. So I don't know. We won't be able to see like a report format for this and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, overall, that's what moisture contents are. We've seen it happen a few times already with some of the other test methods that I've covered already and whatnot. But granted, with Geosystems, though, as much as I love Geosystems, the thing is Geosystems doesn't do natural moisture content. It'll do moisture contents in general, but those are moisture contents part of a test. That's like the only failing mechanism that I've noticed with Geosystems the entire time that I've used it, even with the updates and the integrations. There's just no place to put in a natural moisture content. Well, actually, let me recorrect that. You can put in a natural moisture content. You just can't, it won't calculate it for you. So you would have to do this math either in a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper or off to the side, and then you can just put in just the 5.8% or so, whatever your natural moisture content would have been from your sample itself. So that's kind of been the biggest downside that I've never really liked about Geosystems. It just never had anything implemented where you could just put in a natural moisture content, or maybe they have and we just never bought that component. I just don't think they've ever really sold that, probably because they never thought, hey, if you're doing a natural moisture content, you're just going to hand calculate it anyway. Which, true, you can. The math is simple, as we can see here, but still. All right, so it's like I said, I mean, we're making this into a very short video. I only just want to cover this test method, mostly the installation. We had fun with me struggling. I always love to struggle. It's my favorite thing to do. It's the most entertaining thing out of all the boring stuff that I can present to you folks and whatnot. I'm pretty sure there's nobody... That's cool. I'm not surprised. It doesn't hurt my feelings or nothing. I mean, I always do these on the whim, and this is just how it goes. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's a short video. If you made it to the end, cool. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure this is probably people's favorite kind of videos, is the short kind of videos, sweet and simple. I'm hoping the rest of this program, from what you've seen for the moisture contents, it's kind of going to be like that. There isn't going to be a lot of showing around and whatnot. And, we can see whatever all the values are, kind of like what we've seen there. I know with the spreadsheets, those can actually show like a report format or something like that. But we'll check out the other ones as we go through. I mean, moisture contents are so easy to do that it doesn't hurt my feelings that we don't get to see like what the default report format is. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this, and hopefully you guys kind of understand kind of like what I talked about around the beginning of the video, where this software is more for training purposes, more so than, really trying to use it for reporting. You could technically, but you would have to software verify it. And, to go through all that work for something that, just gives you 3 values, even for a moisture content. I mean, if you're doing a huge geotechnical job or something, you might have like 150 just natural moisture contents. And, to report those 3 at a time or even 1 at a time because of the sample information you can put in there seems very cumbersome. So obviously there's other programs, or you can build your own stuff using Excel and whatnot. You don't have to buy anything like that. But anything that you're going to do for final reporting, it's required that it is software verified before you use it for final reporting, because it might round up or down improperly and whatnot. But anyways, thank you for listening to my end of the video TED Talk that I always do, even though I should just end it. I hope you enjoyed this and whatnot, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.